we are.
How are you?
Hi there. Hi to Palermo.
Yes, we are in Palermo.
Wonderful, wonderful. Hi, Elisabeth, and hi to our Indian friends, to have Ajithlal, Sivalal, if I say it right, who's with us from Kerala, and Vivek from Karnataka. So thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Frank.
So Vivek, where are you now? What time is it?
It's 8:30 here in India, and I'm speaking to you from Bangalore, which is the capital city of the southern Indian state, Karnataka.
Wow! So it's in the evening, and
yes.
You are joining us. So Ajithlal, is he with us, or maybe he is reconnecting? But let's start with you, Vivek. Tell us a little bit about you and your work.
Yes, Frank. Firstly, me and Ajit will do this together. Also, in the end, the little performance that we will be doing, we'll be doing it together. And I'll also be translating what he speaks in Malayalam. Okay, I'm Vivek Vijaykumaran. I'm an actor, trainer, director, and writer from Bangalore. I also run a theatre collective by name Our Theatre, of which I'm the founder and director. We also have a small studio space where we hold training programs for actors, have rehearsals, and also host some small intimate performances. So that's me in a brief. Yeah, I want to talk about how this year and a half has been personally. I think among many other things, what's been really difficult for me is to just, get myself accustomed to this new relationship that I seem to be developing with this idea of death and people dying. Of course, you have people who who've passed away, some are acquaintances, and people also dying, without COVID. And then some people are just numbers, and there are so many of them who have not even made it to that data. So there seems to be a certain kind of normalcy and convenience that is, being attached to people dying, which is very disturbing. And I'm grappling with that change myself personally. Apart from that, I have a 7-year-old daughter who's not been able to go to school for a year and a half and having very little social interaction. So trying to make sure that I'm able to engage her in interesting ways and keep her in a happy space mentally. That's been another shift that has happened. My wife works in the IT sector, and like many people across India have not gone back to office for a long time. So there's a definitive change in the home dynamics with all three of us working with limited space that we have. And I'm also not someone who's very often at home, but the last year and a half has made me be at home. So these have been the essential shifts, for me personally. Politically, I think, it's been a time, when one has been, feeling a lot of anger, resentment, and rage of the mishandling of the situation by the central government. And I think, the social divide, which is already prevalent in our society here in India, only got more evident, more pushed. The boundaries became more sharper. And this term that was there, of social distancing, I think only made it more problematic. I think what we needed was just physical distancing and social intimacy. But that was not the case. And I think especially the second wave, the government was very lazy in its response and extremely insensitive. So it fills one with rage, and I wasn't someone who participated too much in the relief work. I was more of a witness, and I wanted to respond to it through my work. And thankfully, I live very close by to my studio, so which helps me to go to the studio. So I worked through most of last year creating a solo piece, which is a political response to what's going around. It tells the story of a young Indian middle-class youth and his struggle with political conviction, choice making, while he works as a data analyst in a company dealing with data security problems. So I mean, that was also what was possible in the time that we had, just me in the studio, and I had a friend who would come in once in a while as an observer and respond. And then, and I think that I feel that each of us have to be very responsible to not forget how the last year and a half was. I think we in India especially have this tendency to forget things very quickly. And I think it's very important for us to remember how it was done and what happened, and make sure that we take this as a wake-up call, maybe, to keep questioning and to raise our voice. And I would also like I'd also like to kind of share that I must also share that this studio space that we have is supported by this person Prashant and his company Invisible Bed, which makes these space-saving furniture. It's been extremely generous of them to cut the rent of the studio by 50%, because of which we've been able to hold on to that space. Because I also know of many other theater companies who lost their space because they couldn't pay the rent or otherwise. So he's been extremely supportive, and I think we need people like that to facilitate artists to have space, give us the freedom to work passionately. So that was truly a bright spot over the last year and a half.
Yeah, that's great. Do you have a reading for us? Did you bring something?
Yes, yes, we do have something. Yeah. So at the end of, after Ajit also finishes, then both of us will read it together.
Oh, great! You do it together. Yes. So Ajithlal, tell us a little bit about you and where you are.
Hello.
Yeah. We can hear you.
I am Ajithlal Sivalal. I am an actor, theater maker, and performance artist from Kerala, which is the southern coast of India, southern part of India. And I explore different forms to tell stories that need to be told. I studied at two drama schools, National School of Drama, Bangalore Center, and Thrissur School of Drama. Performance is one of the primary mode of my expression, and which will make me very free. And I also respond to a lot of social problems, social inequalities through my performance. I do a lot of street theater, invisible theater, and clowning in a street. And I will speak in Malayalam, which will give me more freedom and expression. So Vivek will translate that into English. Yeah. Personally, എങ്ങനെയായിരുന്നു ഈ കോവിഡ് എന്ന് ചോദിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ, കോവിഡിന് മുമ്പ്, കൊറോണയ്ക്ക് മുമ്പ് വളരെ വളരെ ചലനാത്മകമായിരുന്നു എൻ്റെ ആക്ടിവിറ്റികൾ നാടകരംഗത്ത്. ഞാൻ ബാംഗ്ലൂരിൽ ഒരു നാടകത്തിൽ അഭിനയിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയായിരുന്നു കോവിഡിന് മുന്നേ. അറ്റ് ദ സെയിം ടൈം ഞാൻ അവിടെ ഒരു ലൈബ്രറിയിൽ കുട്ടികൾക്ക് നാടകം പഠിപ്പിക്കുന്നുണ്ടായിരുന്നു, ഇന്ററാക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. എന്നിട്ട് ഞാൻ വീക്കെൻഡ്സിൽ ഞാൻ കേരളത്തിലേക്ക് തിരിച്ചു വരികയും ഇവിടെ ഫെലോഷിപ്പ് പ്രോഗ്രാം എന്ന് പറയുന്ന സർക്കാരിന്റെ ഒരു പരിപാടിയുണ്ട്. അതിന്റെ ഭാഗമായിട്ട് കുട്ടികൾക്ക് ഇവിടെ നാടകം പഠിപ്പിക്കുകയും തിരിച്ച് ശനി ഞായർ ഇവിടെ കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഞാൻ തിരിച്ച് ബാംഗ്ലൂരിൽ പോയി റിഹേഴ്സൽ ചെയ്യുകയും ഒക്കെ ചെയ്തിട്ട് വളരെ വളരെ ഡൈനാമിക് ആയിട്ട് പോയിക്കൊണ്ടിരുന്ന ഒരു പേഴ്സണൽ ജീവിതമായിരുന്നു എനിക്ക്. ഞാൻ വീട്ടിൽ വളരെ വല്ലപ്പോഴും മാത്രം 1-2 ആഴ്ചയോ മാത്രം ഇടപഴകാൻ സമയം കിട്ടിക്കൊണ്ടിരുന്ന ഒരാളായിരുന്നു. സോ വീട്ടിലേക്ക് വരിക എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് എനിക്ക് ഒരു വെക്കേഷൻ പോലെയുള്ള ഒരു സംഗതിയായിരുന്നു. അതെ. പിന്നീട് ഈ വിഷയം എങ്ങനെയാണ് പൊളിറ്റിക്കലി ഞാൻ എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഇത് കാണുന്നതെന്ന് വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ, കേരളത്തിലെ സർക്കാർ, കേരളത്തിലെ ഗവൺമെന്റ്, കേരളത്തിലെ സ്റ്റേറ്റ് ഗവൺമെന്റ് കോവിഡിനെ വളരെ കെയർഫുൾ ആയിട്ടാണ് കണ്ടത്. അവർ ഭയങ്കര സെൻസിറ്റീവ് ആയിരുന്നു, ഭയങ്കര എമ്പത്തറ്റിക് ആയിരുന്നു അവരുടെ റിയാക്ഷനുകളിൽ, മറ്റു കാര്യങ്ങളിലും. പക്ഷെ സെൻട്രൽ ഗവൺമെന്റ് ഭയങ്കര കെയർഫുൾ ആയിരുന്നില്ല അത്തരം കാര്യങ്ങളിൽ. അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ കോവിഡ് വന്ന് ആൾക്കാർ മരിക്കുന്നതിലുപരിയായിട്ട് ആൾക്കാർ നടന്നു മരിക്കുന്നു, ട്രെയിൻ ഇടിച്ചു മരിക്കുന്നു, പട്ടിണി കിടന്നു മരിക്കുന്നു. അപ്പൊ അതൊക്കെ ഭയങ്കര ശക്തമായിട്ടുള്ള ദേഷ്യം, ആങ്കർ എന്നിൽ ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്നുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ആസ് എ പെർഫോമർ എന്റെ പ്രൈമറി എക്സ്പ്രഷൻ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ നാടകങ്ങളിലൂടെ ആയിരുന്നു, തെരുവ് നാടകങ്ങളിലൂടെ ഒക്കെ ആയിരുന്നു. ഞാൻ ഇത്തരം കാര്യങ്ങൾ വരുമ്പോൾ ഞാൻ പെർഫോം ചെയ്യുമായിരുന്നു പല രീതിയിൽ. പക്ഷെ അങ്ങനെ എനിക്ക് റെസ്പോണ്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റില്ല, കാരണം കോവിഡ് ആണല്ലോ, നമുക്ക് പബ്ലിക് സ്പേസ് ഉപയോഗിക്കാൻ പറ്റില്ല, അങ്ങനത്തെ ഒരു അവസ്ഥയുണ്ടായി. പക്ഷെ അപ്പൊ ചെറിയ രീതിയിലുള്ള റിലീഫ് വർക്കുകളും ആൾക്കാർക്ക് സാധനം എത്തിച്ചു കൊടുക്കുക, അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ആക്ടിവിറ്റികളൊക്കെ ഞാൻ ചെയ്തിരുന്നു. പക്ഷെ എനിക്കത് പൂർണ്ണമായിട്ടും ഞാൻ ആദ്യം പറഞ്ഞതുപോലെ പെർഫോമൻസിനെ ഫ്രീ ആക്കുന്ന ഒരു ഇതാണ്, അത്തരം ഒരു ഫ്രീനെസ് എനിക്ക് കിട്ടുന്നുണ്ടായിരുന്നില്ല. പിന്നീട് കുറച്ചൊരു റിലീഫ് വർക്ക് ചെയ്തതിൽ കുറച്ചുകൂടെ സാറ്റിസ്ഫൈങ് ആയിട്ട് തോന്നിയത് കലാകാരന്മാർക്ക് കേരള സർക്കാർ ഒരു എയ്ഡ് കൊടുക്കുന്നുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ അതിന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് എന്താ സപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ട് ആൾക്കാരെ തിരഞ്ഞിട്ട് നമ്മൾ ഓൺലൈൻ വഴിയാണ് അത് അപേക്ഷിക്കേണ്ടത്. അപ്പൊ അത്തരം കാര്യങ്ങൾക്ക് നടന്നപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ എന്റെ പരിസരത്തുള്ള കലാകാരന്മാരെ അറിയുന്നില്ലായിരുന്നു. അങ്ങനെ ഒത്തിരി പേരെ കാണാനും അറിയാനും സാധിച്ചത് വളരെ നല്ലൊരു കാര്യമായിട്ട് തോന്നി. പിന്നീട് ഭയങ്കര ഡിസ്റ്റർബിംഗ് ആയിട്ട് തോന്നിയത് നമ്മുടെ ഇവിടെ സേവാലപ്പാട് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് തീരം സംരക്ഷിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് ഒരു സമരം നടക്കുന്നുണ്ടായിരുന്നു, കരിമണൽ ഖനനത്തിന്, മിനറൽ സാൻഡിന്റെ മൈനിങ്ങിനെതിരായിട്ട്. ആ സമരം പൂർണ്ണമായിട്ടും നിന്നു. അതെ, അതാണ്. പക്ഷെ അത് സർക്കാർ ഒരു ഓപ്പർച്യൂണിറ്റി ആയിട്ട് കണ്ട് നല്ല രീതിയിൽ മൈൻഡ് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ട് ഇപ്പോഴും ഇരിക്കുന്നു. അതെ, ഇതാണ് എന്റെ പൊളിറ്റിക്കൽ റെസ്പോൺസ്. താങ്ക് യു. നൗ വിവേക് will translate and we will do the performance together.
Good.
Thank you, Ajit. So what Ajit was telling us is that, before the pandemic, he was quite busy working in Bangalore and in Kerala. He was rehearsing for a play in Bangalore, working with a group of children in Bangalore. And every Friday evening, he would go back to Kerala and work with children there as part of a fellowship that he had received from the Kerala government. And he was someone who used to visit home only between works for a few days or a week maximum. But then with the pandemic, he got stuck at home, it didn't allow him the response that he usually would do, which is to go to the street and perform. So it was very difficult for him to be home and not have that agency to perform outside. And then he spoke about how the Kerala government, from where he is, the Kerala state government, was very sensitive in their response to COVID, but the central government was not. And it was very painful for him to see people dying out of starvation, dying on the railway track, etc. And then he also pointed out another incident, which is that he comes from a fishing family, and near the coastal region of Alappad, the Kerala government had plans to do black sand mining, and he was sitting in protest against it. But when the pandemic hit out, the protest stopped, and which made it easier for the government to continue the black sand mining. And he was also telling me yesterday that with the monsoon hitting the state now, the problem at the coastal region has become very severe, unlike any of the previous years. That's what Ajit shared with us. Now we shall read a small piece that me and my colleagues at our theatre had created last year in response to all that was happening. It was a digital creation that we made with camera and a few props, but we will read it here. So it's about two pawns from the game of chess who meet each other after they've been ousted out from the game. Like they finish their course, somebody killed them or something, they're out of the game. And these two pawns meet and have a conversation. So two characters, A and B. So I'll read A and Ajit will read B. So A is the white colored pawn and B is the black colored pawn. Okay? All right, so here we go. My game is over. Someone else does the thinking and we are the ones who kill. So much violence. Anyway, it's all just a game.
This is the limit. What people are there?
You too? So quickly? Who killed you?
Maybe you have to read both, Vivek. I think we have.
Right. So maybe I read both then.
Yeah. We cannot hear you, Ajithlal. So yeah, read both, Vivek.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'll read A and B. Okay. So A, my game is over. Someone else does the thinking and we are the ones who kill. So much violence. Anyway, it's all just a game. B, this is the limit. What kind of people are they? A, you too, so quickly. Who killed you? B, what difference does it make? One of yours only. A. Now no one will bother us till the next game. A playfully moves around and stops in front of B. B. Again you're blocking me. Now where will I go? A. This is the battlefield. B. Yeah, I know. A. Then go anywhere. Here, there, move back. B. I won't move back. I never move back. A. Sometimes go back and see. It's allowed here. This is not the battlefield. From back, you can see more. B. That's why everyone else stands behind us. Look. Sorry. Look. Looks like you're still in the game. Hey, Baba, your game is over. B. No. No one thinks about us pawns. A. How is that possible? Will the game be interesting without us? B. Whatever. A. Whatever? Yes, I mean, we can be whatever we want. B. But we can't be the king. A. But we can kill anyone. B. But we can't kill the king. A. But before that, the game is over, no. Like, he also walks one step at a time like us. B. What like us? He can move on all sides. A. Yes, but if he stops, B. Checkmate. Game over. But he won't die. A. Well, why are you after the king? B. Then what? For him, only checkmate. If he gets trapped, game over. They don't even give him a chance to die. The king never dies. A. Yes, so what? B. But to keep him safe, we keep dying. A. Then what do you want? B. I want to kill the king. What? I want to be king. Have you gone mad? Why? Can't pawns think anything big? You'll kill your own king. Your king is there, no? And even if you kill him, you can't become king. Why? You're different. Color also matters, no? But we both are pawns. It's all the same.
Yeah.
Hey, what's your point? Are we same or are we different? Almost same, but a bit different.
Yeah, we coming closer to the end, and I'm sorry we have to stop here, Madine and Ajal. Maybe we can hear you better now. And we had some, I think problems in the line with it. So both of you, thank you. And so, are you able to do your work at the moment? You can both. Vivek, you continue to rehearse in your studio, and Ajithlal, how do you do it? How is your work going?
Ajit, go ahead.
Now, initially it was difficult for me to cope up to the online environment. Now I am able to I figured out a way to do it via online engagements. But physically, it's not in a good condition right now to do physical rehearsal.
So you do your comedy stand up, you do it online then, and people pay you and listen in?
Yeah, I do a clowning workshop online, and I also engage in 5 schools. So their children will came in online space. So we will do some kind of engagement with children.
That's amazing. So it's you both found a way to continue your work and to be there. And have you lost friends? Have you lost colleagues to COVID?
Go on, Ajit.
Yeah. Recently, a friend passed away. Like yesterday, I am submitting this stuff to her. Her name is Binsi. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is it is quite a time, and we're getting really an overview of Indian artists, who are with us. This is a unique event for all the viewers who are joining us. We have a 24-hour global readings and talks about COVID as an end of the Siegel talks, which have been taking place since March last year, and to get an update on where we are and where we're going. So really, thank you both, Vivek and Ajithlal, for joining. And we move over now to our guests who are both, if I'm right, are you both in Palermo at the moment, Elisabeth and Pamela? I think you're on mute. Yeah, but you have to put the microphones on.
Yes, Frank. Hello. I am in Palermo.
Yeah.
Yes, she's in the bureau. I am home. That's why it's different.
Yes.
Different background. I'm sitting in the conference room of Teatro Biondo in Palermo.
Good. You look like an admiral in the Star Trek fleet.
Yeah, it does, doesn't
amazing.
it?
Yes, that's
They're cabinets with archive files.
Yeah, so for our Indian colleagues, these are both workers in Europe, actors in the case of Pamela, and arts administrator, organizer, curator, and producer in the case of Elisabeth. Elisabeth is from France, but it's still Pamela and Elisabeth. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do, and maybe Pamela, you start.
Okay, I am artistic director in Teatro Biondo di Palermo. That is quite a national theater. Is a trick we call, and I am director. I started 2.5 years ago, so I was the director of a closed theater for most of the time. But anyway, even it was closed for the public, our theater worked a lot because we put it on rehearsals or our productions. And also we have done many things for our social online. And even we have done a big work with the students, the pupils of all the school of the town. So through their professor, we asked to the students, the young boy between 14 and 18 years, we asked them to receive what they write about that period of lockdown, how they lived that period inside their little room. And I think the young persons paid the best price of this lockdown, because that one is the age where you need to have social contacts and so on. And and through our school, our pupils, drama, dramaturg, directors and actors, we did 8 films of 40 minutes each. And we put it online about all the things that the students have wrote. And it was for them very interesting, and it was important for them to write what they had not the courage to tell to their family and so on. So it was quite a key to cry over their problems, but even to laugh and to stay all together. And now we are doing 2 shows about the things we receive, all the things they wrote, and the script they wrote. And so, because what I thought when we are closed is, what is our duty now that we are obliged to be closed, to not receive the public inside? The duty of the theater from the beginning in the Grecian period was to be an occasion to have a reflection, to think about the problems of the polis, no? And so how could we do close to the persons, especially to the young persons? And so we have done a very hard work, and even the television of RAI, of the state, asked us one of this film because it's a very interesting document of the young persons of this period, Italian young persons. And we were even the collaboration with some psychiatric of the University of Palermo. So we did quite a good work. Now we are working again. We are in summer period. So we had all our 6 productions that were just ready because we did the rehearsals when we were closed on the stage. And so now we are outside, and we started on the 4th of June and we finish in the end of July. And we are in beautiful courts of very ancient building of the town. So even the location is beautiful. And the public comes to see. They are happy to be back and hear what we tell them. And it's a fantastic feeling now to be again together. With my show, I have a show about Frida Kahlo that is called Viva la Vida. And we had to stop for the first lockdown after only one evening. And then the second down, we had to close after 4 evenings. So now every evening I say, okay, we had the COVID, we had the lockdown, we had even the rain the first night, but now we are here and we won. And so it's a fantastic feeling. We are back.
That's fantastic. So if I understand right, your 6 productions will take place. They're all outside in courtyards and piazzas, and the theaters themselves are closed. Pamela, tell us a little bit. You also had an extraordinary program while everything was closed. You did not say, let's wait and see. You took some actions. What did you do in the time?
Yes, the rehearsals of all our productions, but even many things that we wanted to do, for instance, about Sicilian culture. We had to Centenario. It was 1 century from the birth of Leonardo Sciascia, Gesualdo Bufalino, big poets, big writers. And so we did a lot of course, show we just online, but it was just a step because now they will be a show for the theater. So it was just a step. And so we did a lot of the things, and many of these kind of things. What we could do, we did do. We used 164 persons, artists, during the lockdown.
Incredible, incredible. Pamela, if I may ask you, I mean, you're a very prominent artist. You have worked on the big stages, you know, with Strehler and so much. You have been in movies, television. You have been in Oscar-nominated movies. Now you run the theater in Palermo. What does it mean to you in the time of Corona?
Well, I wanted to learn from persons like Frida Kahlo. She had a big accident, like you know, and she had 33 chirurgical operation. And she transformed a tragedy in an occasion, and she started to paint, and she became immortale. How do you say immortale?
Immortal.
Immortal. Okay. So it was an occasion to understand what a theater, national theater, has to do with his territory. In fact, we started to think, of course, we are obliged to talk about the culture of our territory and to promote the artists of our territory, especially of the Sicily, because Sicily was a land that lost a lot of talents because they had no work here and so on. So many young persons had to go away. So we created the first school in Italy that is has a university back for acting and direction and dramaturgia. And after that, But we thought even, what does it mean to talk about the culture of this land? It's not only Pirandello, it's not only Sciascia or Bufalino that are great writers, but of the past. What is now Palermo? For instance, Palermo now has many persons that come from other countries. They are Palermitani, like our mayor says, Luca Orlando, always one, I think the unique mayor of the world, that when the journalists ask him, how many strangers you have in Palermo? He answers, no one. And the journalist says, no one? How is possible? And he answers, yes, because one person is in Palermo, is Palermitano. That's all. And so he's fantastic. In fact, our assessore alla cultura is not assessore alla cultura, but assessore for the cultures. And this is very impressive. And so I studied all the town and the social situation, and I discovered, for instance, that we have 30,000 Indians in Palermo. Well, Indians is a large word. I mean, coming from the family from Pakistan, all Indian and Sri Lanka. So it's a very large area with different religions, etc. But especially there is a big community of Bangladesh. And so I asked to a very good writer, Daniela Morelli, to stay 6 months here with the cameraman. And they did a lot of interviews to many persons of the community. And then we created a script that is Bengala a Palermo. And that Bengala in Italian means also fireworks. So Bengala Palermo. And a very good musician that is Mario Incudine created the music. And the music is like a little bit like Bollywood, a musical. And the music are between Indian and very Sicilian musics. And we created the first company, the first multiracial, I mean, the race in the world is only one, human, but anyway, the multiracial racial company of Italy. And we are very happy. We are guys, actors coming, the family are coming from all over the world. And of course, they are Palermitan now.
Fantastic. That's incredible. That is fantastic. We just had one Siegel Talk speaker, Gerald Thomas, who said he wanted to create a multinational company at Kampnagel in Hamburg. He had 800 people who were ready to audition, were waiting in the snow. And then the people said, no, they all have to be German. And he left overnight and gave back his artistic directorship, you know, and so this is fantastic what you are doing. It sounds like such an easy thing, but it is quite outstanding. So did you prepare a reading for us? Do you have something for us, or we talk? Let's just let me know. It's an open conversation, of course.
No, I have
No, that's fine. So then let's go on. Yeah.
But I promise that I will send you some video about Bengala Palermo that is very, very interesting and very nice to see.
Yeah, but your theater does quite an outreach. I think it's very different, inspired by your mayor, but also you really to rethink what a national theater means. National theater normally meant, at least in Germany, that under Goethe and Schiller, that finally we have a German language. This is how you perfectly speak German. This is representative of the highest you can. If you weren't German, you had a dialect, something was wrong, he would never be on it. It was the exclusion of it. As many people say, the Shakespearean project to speak and play Shakespeare around the world with the British right accent. American actors still have to learn a British accent to pass acting school. Yes, it's kind of a colonial project, you know, of the white art, as some say, like supremacist art. But now your national theater is taking these steps. So tell us a little bit more. And is it working? Do people come?
the people come to see our show. Yes, I don't know what will happen in the future. I mean, we had 5,500 more or less abbonati. How do you say that when
subscribers?
Not as a subscriber. When you buy
to this theater. Yeah, abonnement. Yeah.
For all the season.
We say subscribers. Yeah.
Subscribers. Okay. And but now many of them were old, like me, over 60. and so outside is not a problem because the persons are quiet because we use masks and everywhere they have distance between one chair and another chair. And so they are quiet, they are not afraid about the sickness, about the COVID. I don't know what will happen, even because now, because of some persons in Italian persons, they don't do the vaccine. Now the numbers of the COVID are a little bit growing up again. And so we have to see what will happen in autumn, in September, when we will open again the theater, and how many persons will be subscribed again. So let's see, it's an experiment, we don't know. But anyway, I wanted to give an identity to our theater and to our school. Little bit different from the other schools that are very classical, even in Italy, perfect Italian. Of course, they have to talk perfect Italian. I hope even perfect English after 3 years, because they have more possibility to work. Even we will give them lessons of Arab language, because Arab is is part of the history of our town of Sicily. And because if they can speak many languages, they will have more possibilities to work in the world, of course. But especially the identity that I like is to let grow the racine,
the roots.
The roots in the ground of our land, I mean culture and everything, popular even culture. But on the contrary, to know all the news, all the avant-garde of the world. So we have a very traditional teacher of popular traditions like puppet, Sicilian puppet, but even Bob Wilson or Charchemain or Irina Brooke and so on. In between, okay, we have lessons of Dizione Italiana, even Shakespeare and so on, but it's a balance from the past and the future. That's what I like, even for our season, even for our shows.
Yeah, and you invite mostly Italian artists to direct, or artists from around the world? Your shows. What is your concept?
Yeah, even around the world. For instance, for the next years, we are now created a show with Aurélien Bory. That is the director of Toulouse, is one of the most important, I think, of the world. And he doesn't normally use the words, just the body and movements, but now he's starting to create something that is more theatrale.
Yeah.
So even with the text and words and so on. And he's looking now for the Sicilian Italian artists here in Palermo. He was here for 10 days just to see dancers, acrobats, actors, and so on. And you know, 30 years ago, Pina Bausch was here, and she created Palermo, the famous show. And and she was talking about that Palermo, where the wall that mafia created in this town fall down. It was destroyed. Mm-hmm. And the town slowly became a free town, like now it is. And so Aurélien Bory will talk with our artists, but his view the new Palermo was what is Palermo now.
That's
and
amazing.
Of course,
yeah.
we have many artists from other parts of Italy. We have co-production and so on.
Yeah, that is quite
And many
stunning. Yeah.
many artists from this land.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Pamela. We will slowly transition over now to Elisabeth, who also is no stranger to peanut butter. Elisabeth, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I am actually not in France, but in Palermo, in Sicily, in Italy. I've been here for about 10 days. This is my new home and my new professional home, as I was extremely touched and honored to be invited by Pamela Villoresi, whom I have known since she was first young actor in earlier productions of Giorgio Strehla of the Piccolo Teatro. And because all of my life and all of my professional life has been involved in international theater, music, dance, management, production, organization, she asked me if I would be able to think of coming to Palermo to work on specific collaboration, international, and so forth. So I might pick up just where she spoke about Aurélien Bory, who was indeed here very recently until last night. And just to give you an idea, what is so interesting about this extraordinary city, which is Palermo, is that he and others have found that there is such a wealth of cultural activity and of artists that he will be using local artists in multiple disciplines. He's very set also on the fact that the premiere, the beginning of the production, will happen here in Palermo, and then it will be seen elsewhere in the world. And it's marvelous what Pamela just said. It is so very true that 32 years ago now, when Pina Bausch made the production Palermo, the actual set of Peter Paps was an enormous wall that was at the edge of the stage, which was very mysterious for anyone in the audience, because I think we were all wondering where and how can the dancers dance, because it seemed they had about 8 inches. And in fact, very, very slowly, the impact of the beginning of the production was amazing. Very, 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 very slowly, this huge wall that seemed to be made of enormous cinder blocks fell backward. And of course, when it actually fell, it made a terrifying sound. But this happened, the premiere of this piece happened in the Teatro Biondo 2 months before the fall of the Berlin Wall. And of course, in the mind of people here in this city, it corresponded indeed to the fall of the mafia. So there's an enormous association in this city, apart from ongoing cultural life, to that.
Incredible, yeah.
That
I think, Pamela, you have to go, right, to your rehearsals?
I have this show. Thank you.
Bye-bye. So thank you for joining and being with us. We are on stage tonight. Thank you. It's already late in the evening, Italy. So thank you for being with us just before you hop on stage as Frida. But Elisabeth, let's get back to you. You moved from New York just a week.
Just a couple of weeks ago. In fact, I had begun this collaborative work about 1.5 years ago. I was here for 3 months. I went back to New York and I was going to come back 2 or 3 months later. And in the month of March, COVID happened and everyone in the world was affected by that. And there was no possibility to travel. So I was working remotely, again, like so many other people, working remotely for for 1 year. And now, because Italy and other countries are reopening, I was able to travel finally. So now I'm here and based here. And I might just add that, first of all, a couple of things I'd love to add to what Pamela Villoresi just said about the activity during the lockdown. I know that many institutions were able to transmit archive work, which is fine. I thought what was so impressive, and this applies to you and to Siegel Talks, is that the work that the Teatro Biondo generated was new work. Almost every day. Well, you were doing Siegel Talks every day for the first year. And the Teatro Biondo was, when I say generating new work, at one point it might have been a poetry reading of a Sicilian poet, because there was already great emphasis on Sicilian work. There were indeed productions with the young people from the school and so forth. But it was the idea of generating new work, of keeping a link with the public, even if physically we couldn't be together. So the very intense joy of this summer season that began early June in 4 different locations, not productions simultaneously, one after another, but in 4 different locations outside in Palermo. And it's quite fantastic to be able to see a live performance and share it with other members of the public. And the first production was Bengala a Palermo, which initially, of course, was programmed to be in the theater and took place outside. It was restaged and reconfigured. It took place outside. Pamela's production ends tonight, the last of 5 or 6 performances. And there's one more before the closing, which is indeed this production with the students of the school and their own writings that have been organized and produced. And that the last performance, I believe, yes, is the 25th of July. So there's a lot going on here.
My question to you, you are an arts professional. You have brought Nushkin to New York City, Ariam Nushkin, Konserai, Caravanserai, and so many other pieces. You were in lockdown for a year and a half. Now, at least it seems like in Palermo is opening up. We are still in a way, things are closed in New York. What do you feel? Do you feel there is a change in the air of how people look at it, what they want to see? How is the mood?
Well, I think it's hard to know what people want to see. What I do feel, at least each time I go to a performance, and I've been to several of each production since I arrived, is a very intense feeling of joy and of appreciation for being able to share a live performance with other people. After all, theater is all about the live performance. What I am impressed to see all the time I was in New York, and I think everyone has felt this around the world, there's a moment, there was the first wave, the second wave, the third wave, and when things were beginning, when the situation was beginning to improve, I think we were all so hungry to be able to get out, to be able to share a meal with friends, to be able to be with other people. Then I began to feel in New York, and I hope I'm wrong, that there was also a little bit of a feeling of, oh, I've had enough. The numbers are better, it's okay, I'm vaccinated, everything is fine. We don't know. You know, we don't know what's going to happen in the fall. And when I say we, I'm not just speaking of Italians here. The Delta variant is all over the world. Now, in a number of countries, the vaccination rate is very strong. It is strong in Italy. It is strong in New York. And I think that gives perhaps a degree, some little degree of security that we didn't have before. At least I can speak personally. But what has impressed me here since I've arrived in Palermo, since I was in New York, is that as of just a few days before I arrived, the mandate for wearing a mask everywhere was lifted for outside. And we're talking about federal decrees, because of course in the United States, there's nothing that's federal, they're only recommendation. So in Italy, having to wear a mask outside was no longer obligatory, vaccinated or not. But even now, the minute you step into a building of any sort, a cafe, a restaurant, a shop, a supermarket, you must put a mask on. And if you don't, there's someone at the door who will say, Signora, la mascherina. And there's no question, it's a given. So there's a discipline that I was impressed to see. And I think, you know, first of all, I think people are extremely grateful to be able to be out and to live with greater freedom of movement. I think many, and also maybe to go on vacation, to have family reunion, all these things. I think there is an awareness that there's an uncertainty about the fall. But we all, I believe, remember that Italy, in terms of Western European countries, was the heaviest hit at the beginning. And now, now, you know, Italy is doing quite well. Again, we're in the south in Palermo, and the south was never as heavily hit as the northern regions, which are greater cities, greater density, industrial. So optimism in one word, and hopefulness, maybe in, you know, oversimplifying, but I would generalize that way.
Yeah. So, and we heard from India, from Abhishek today, and also today from Vivek and others. You know, the situation is still complicated around the world. Is there an awareness that, you know, it can still change, or it can come back, or people know? Do people think it's over, or is it?
It's interesting because I think for the most part, people think or hope it's over, but there's a very thin line between one and the other, because we're still living in an unknown. We are still living with an unknown. I did have an opportunity to speak with a doctor who's a friend of a friend, and she said that in the medical community, there's a bit of a given that there's going to be another wave because of Delta and all of the people who are traveling everywhere. Now, she didn't say an enormous wave. What she did say that was extremely interesting was that all of the new cases of people who are being hospitalized with COVID are people who have not been vaccinated. That the people who are hospitalized who have been vaccinated, then they're very, very few. They will be going home. But those who are new cases hospitalized are in not so good shape, and there are not many, but not so good shape, and they're non-vaccinated. So
Yeah.
it's a very telling sign.
Even in New York City, where over 70% have been vaccinated, but a population of 10, 12 million, that still means 3-4 million potentially all could get in. So Vivek, when you hear from Italy and Palermo, what comes to your mind when you Ajithlal, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's, what should I say? It fills me with a lot of energy and positivity to know that they're able to do so much work and open to performances. In fact, I feel very happy to know that at least in some part of the world, this is happening. And yeah, I've also heard similar things about, the possibilities of, getting vaccinated. That if you are vaccinated, then, the chances of you getting infected is less. And even if you do, then the intensity of the infection will be very low. So that's the hope we're also living with. However, the vaccination drive is not as it should be here in India.
So both of you, have you been vaccinated?
Yes, I have been vaccinated, and so has Ajit also.
Yeah.
We've got the first dose. We need to wait for another month and a half to get the second dose.
Just to know, Elisabeth, did you prepare a reading? Will you read us something?
I didn't, because I thought it was so interesting if we speak about.
That's absolutely.
It's not my role. I'm not the person on stage. I'm the person backstage, out front, and so on. But I did want to add to what I said before. Pamela had a press conference a week ago, and she announced the new season, which is programmed inside the theater with first performances on October throughout the theater in the big hall, the Sala Grande and Sala Strela.
Like 50% or full seating?
Here's the thing. It is difficult for them to specify the subscribers in terms of number because they have to wait for the federal decree, which has not yet been issued, to indicate if theaters will be able to operate at 100% or 80%, and that's going to be coming later. What is confirmed is that the productions will take place in the theater on stage, and you see, we are still dealing with the unknowns. I didn't think about the reading because another thing, Frank, that has struck me, because as you know, I was a great fan of all the earlier Siegel talks and heard so many of them. And I was very struck when Emmanuel de Marcy-Motin, who is the artistic director of the Théâtre de la Ville, said to you that he did not, and very deliberately, he did not prepare in advance and didn't rush to do digital programming because he thought it was very important in this period to be silent and to listen. And I so agree with that. It was an opportunity when we were forced to be inside. We had an opportunity also to listen and to listen to one another. And I think there's new connection that many of us find with colleagues and others. It's because we're listening differently to one another, because we're living in a different world and no one has a roadmap to move forward. And also another one of your interviewees, Karl Hancock's Rux, was one of several, but he was one of the first that I heard, who said, you know, if we don't move into a different world, which is a new world and an unknown world, this experience has served no purpose whatsoever. It means we haven't learned anything. We can't go backward. We can't look backward. There's nothing about going back. It's all about moving forward, and we have to realize we have to imagine that present and future and create it as we go along.
Mm-hmm. No, thank you. Ajithlal, how does it make you feel when you hear about Palermo and the opening of theaters?
Excited, thrilled, optimistic. Yeah. Look, you know, here's the thing. If we have surprises in the fall, sometimes surprises are not good ones, but I don't think you can plan on a negative or on something which is hopeless or, you know, first of all, you have to have a plan in place so you're ready to go, because in our world, no one can organize a production overnight or in three days. So you have to be ready to go. And then you deal with changes if you have to make changes. But, oh no, I feel very optimistic and very energetic and excited to be here and to be part of this activity.
Yeah, thank you. Great.
Thank you.
Ajithlal, how do you feel when you listen to all of it?
It's great to listen that, great to hear that there is so much happening, and they were also in a way to like positively coming back from the larger their hit of COVID, and it's so much optimism that I am getting from here, that there are things started happening and going to have things going to happen physically in place. That is so beautiful to hear, and we also hope that things also will get better soon here also.
Yeah, Vivek, it is quite still traumatic in India, right? Everything is closed, and the suffering of people is still tremendous.
The suffering, yes, it is. I mean, it is very much there, but the unlock has kind of begun in many parts of India. So slowly things have started opening up over the past 3-4 weeks. It's not still completely open as before, but like, for example, in my city, since this Monday, restaurants and pubs, etc., are allowed to be open till 10 p.m. with 50% capacity. And cinema theaters have been given permission to open with 50% capacity. But I mean, we have to wear masks all everywhere. It's not like what you were saying that you could be without masks outside. We haven't reached there at all. And also, given the population density in a place like India, it's quite, the challenge is a lot more. The number of people.
You need to, even so, if only 5% are vaccinated, still the number of actually people vaccinated is high, but still, we don't know. Elizabeth, coming closer to an end, we have 2 more minutes. What is the big thing you have learned, what you feel in your life, but also for theater? What have you learned in the last year and a half?
Well, it's such a cliche, but I'm going to say it anyway. We are all responsible for one another. You know, it's how many hundreds of people have said, you know, of course, COVID doesn't respect borders, frontiers, and those are all fictional, in fact, in terms of humanity. As Leoluca Orlando says, in Palermo, there are only Palermitani. There's only one human race. And knowing about and caring about one another is an absolute. And if I may add a postscriptum, and it's
Please.
not directly related to that, but in a way it is related. I really want to thank you, Frank, and Siegel Talks, because I have come to know indirectly so many theater colleagues around the world and the work of others, some whom I knew, some whom I didn't, because of your approach, which is, I think, very related to this. So I was thrilled to listen one day after another, and to become acquainted with theater makers and theater work around the world in cities and, cities and institutions that I didn't know. So I think it's an example of this, the interconnection and the caring for and responsibility we have for one another.
Yeah. Any last words from your Indian, Vivek? Ajithlal?
Well, just to say thank you very much. I mean, it's a real honor to be in such august company and to be able to express all that we had to do. So thank you very much for inviting me. It was a real pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
Same. Thank you.
Thank you. Fantastic. And we are on time, which is really, really great. And we are switching over if our team in Bangalore is ready. So thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
And
Thank you, Frank. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All the
Bye.
best.
And all the best wishes to Pamela.